there's no need for an artist to apologize about just giving us something that is passionate and beautiful and funny or any of those. No need to apologize for that. So the historian says it's not my business, and the businessman says it's not my business, and the lawyer says it's not my business, and the artist says it's not my business, and whose business is it? You're going to leave the business of the most important issues in the world to the people who run the country? I mean, how stupid can you be? I see all sorts of people who are doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that. Where are our citizens among us?
All right, so let me hit you with some definitions.
All right.
Corporation, noun, an ingenious device for obtaining individual profit without individual responsibility. All right, here's another one. Politics, noun, a strife of interests masquerading as a contest of principles, the conduct of public affairs for private advantage.
Tasty. I like that.
Right. Feels pretty current, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Feels like very right now.
Yeah, it feels kind of evergreen.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we're going to talk in this episode. We're going to talk about Ambrose Bierce. So Ambrose Bierce. Why are we talking about this guy? Who the hell is this guy? We're going to get into that. But the thing that I want to bring forward here is that here's a guy. Why are we talking about this Civil War veteran and newspaper columnist from the 1890s on a cyberpunk, an allegedly cyberpunk podcast?
Well, hey, you know us. We're with you.
We are. Hey, cyberpunk is everything and everywhere, man. I mean, let's admit it. But
I hope I proved it with the Wild Bunch.
I think so. And when we watch Angels of Desire, we'll find it there too. So, all right. So we're talking about this guy because Ambrose Bierce was a newspaper reporter and a writer who lived through the first Gilded Age, and we're living through the second one. He watched railroad corporations buy Congress. He watched the press become a weapon of the powerful, and he watched a country that had just fought a war over human freedom slide right back into letting money determine who mattered and who didn't. Sound familiar?
It's so exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, right now we've been through an awful lot. You want to talk about current events? Lots of podcasts out there talk about current events. We've covered it kind of extensively, but you really can't escape it. But the things that we're living through right now, everyone is talking about how these are unprecedented times, how this has never happened before. Bullshit. It has multiple times. And Bierce would have recognized all of this. Yeah, the corporations have different names. The politicians are different, but they're still on the payroll. And the media will either serve that machine or be crushed by it. And he saw these same patterns 130 years ago. This man was a punk.
Oh yeah, all right.
And that's what I wanna explore here a bit. We're going to talk about his life, his war, his writing, and why a guy born in a log cabin in Ohio in 1842 has more in common with our cyberpunk heroes than you would think.
And full disclosure, I love Ambrose Bierce in the way that I think anyone who attended elementary school in the United States of America has, because An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge is a fucking masterpiece.
It is.
It's such a good trick.
He is most remembered for that short story and his book, The Devil's Dictionary. We're going to talk about both of them.
Yeah, that's the other one that I'm very familiar with. That book. I love that book.
It's a fantastic book. So Bierce was born June 24th, 1842, in a log cabin in Meigs County, Ohio. Horse Creek Cave, which is not too far from Horse Cave Creek, was the name of the area. It's down. It's not too far. It's in southeast Ohio. So
So
I looked it up on a map. Yeah, Athens, south of Athens, just north of Marietta, that area down there.
this makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
he's an Ohio boy. We got a
Yeah.
thing. I mean, people like to shit on Ohio, but I mean, look at the
Yeah.
punk bands. Look at the attitude. All
Yeah,
right.
we got Devo, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. His parents were Marcus Aurelius Bierce and
What?
Laura Sherwood Bierce.
Wait, what?
Yeah. No. Oh, wait. It gets better. They were poor farmers. They were of English Puritan descent. His
Okay.
mother was descended from William Bradford of the Plymouth colony.
Okay.
And what makes that funny is that later in life, he wrote very critically about Puritan values and mocked people who made a fuss about their genealogy.
Yeah,
So-
he's got a little bit of that in the Devil's Dictionary. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's a real shit stirrer. I mean,
Yeah.
he was the 10th of 13 children.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Talk about playing the odds.
I know, right? And his father, being obnoxious, gave every single one of them a name starting with A.
So this is like the George Foreman of the 60s.
Kind of. I mean, yeah. I mean, 1840s, absolutely.
1840s.
Abigail, Amelia, Anne, Addison, Aurelius, Augustus, Almeda, not Alameda, Almeda,
Right.
Andrew, Albert, Ambrose, Arthur, Adelia, and Aurelia.
God damn.
They moved to Indiana when he was young.
I'm sorry.
He did not have a strong bond with his parents. He actually left home when he was 15.
Okay, yeah. I mean, given the times, that's pretty common.
When he left, he became a printer's devil for the Northern Indianan, an abolitionist newspaper in Warsaw, Indiana.
Okay.
He learned the trade on the shop floor. His father couldn't give him a formal education, but he had a good library, and Bierce devoured it. Later, he said, "My father was a poor farmer and could give me no general education, but he had a good library, and to his books I owe all that I have."
Right on.
Apparently, he went back home and then left again at 17 to go live with his uncle, Lucius Verus Bierce, who was an Ohio politician and a military man.
Okay, all right.
Okay. He enrolled in the Kentucky Military Institute in 1859 and then dropped out after about a year.
Yeah, fair.
And apparently in his journal it was noted that when he was 16, he reportedly dreamed that God and all of mankind had perished and saw his own decomposing corpse. Later, he turned it into a short story.
Who among us?
Right. I mean, look, I burned all my goth poetry, but it existed. It did. You know.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
So, 1859, we're not too far. The Civil War happens. He enlisted.
This one.
Yeah. It was a big deal at the time. He enlisted in the 9th Indiana Infantry at 18, and he was one of the first volunteers when Lincoln put out the call. So this is a guy with principles. I mean,
Yeah.
he knows what he's going to war for, and he's not a rear echelon guy. He fought at Shiloh, Chickamauga, Kennesaw Mountain. He joined Sherman's March to the Sea. He saw some of the worst fighting that the Civil War produced, and it is reflected in his outlook the rest of his life.
And can you imagine, like, as a writer, and then you're at war, and then you're hanging out with Sherman.
Right.
Like, of all the generals, this
Yeah.
guy.
Uh-huh. You might walk away with some stories there.
Oh, you might.
Yeah. You know, some writers work in bars to get to know people, but this
Yeah.
guy, yeah.
This guy's like, yeah, we need to cut a fucking burning line to the coast.
At the Battle of Rich Mountain, he ran under fire to rescue a gravely wounded comrade, and he did it again in another engagement, and newspapers noticed. He never talked about it as heroism. He just talked about it as the thing that you did.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
solid.
So,
That's
respect.
real solid. Yeah.
So he rose from a private to a brevet major, and after the war, he never let anyone use the title. Anyone who called him Major Bierce got corrected. Interesting.
Yeah.
At Kennesaw Mountain in 1864, he took a bullet to the head. and there was a serious traumatic brain injury that affected him the rest of his life. He
Oh
had
man,
fainting episodes, irritability, and chronic pain.
I could understand the irritability.
Yeah, I mean, I would be irritable anyway, but
Right, and then have it dialed up to 11 with a shot to the head. Fuck.
yeah, no kidding. But he recovered and he returned to the service.
Fucking
But
psycho.
but something had shifted. The wound was physical, but what it left behind was also psychological. There's a story that when the war ended, he flipped a coin to determine his career. Whether literally true or not, that definitely fits his kind of, I'm not going to say nihilism, but the cynical outlook of whether things matter. He flips a coin to decide what to do.
I mean, he could have had that like naked lunch idea.
Could've.
You just see things as practically as possible, you know. And
Right.
it's there's a weird degree or two before nihilism. There's still like a
Yes.
sprinkling of
Yeah,
hope.
that's why I don't want to say it's nihilism, because his
Yeah.
friends in private, his close friends described Bierce. I'm sorry, his close friends described him as someone who abhorred cruelty and was singularly compassionate. The
Right.
public bitter Bierce was armor. That was a persona. But underneath, he had been pretty well broken up by what he'd seen.
Oh,
And the war changes a man. So
well, you never want to see it happen again. You never.
no,
Yeah.
no, and nothing infuriated him more for the rest of his life than hearing people talk about the honor and glory of war when they'd never been in one. That rage never cooled, and it fueled everything that he wrote.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense too.
Right?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, you know, I'm glad we were talking to this a little behind the curtain. We were talking about doing this one, and it's great because I love Bierce's writing, but I didn't know much about him. I literally
Right.
only know the ending, and I like this texture. Like, this is really. Now I'm going to go back to the Devil's Dictionary, and it's going to have a whole, 10
Right.
other layers to it. You can intuit them, but it's good to know it.
Right. One of the things that has been bothering me a lot in the current dialogue is, especially, I don't know if it's the internet or the youth or us or what, but this idea that this is all new and it's never happened before. And I am utterly, I don't know about you, but I was raised on science fiction stories that were written by a lot of Jewish authors who warned about fascism and used their stuff to warn about. And so, writers and artists have always led the way on this. And I think it's worth us going back because, I mean, I love cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is great, but things lead to cyberpunk. You can draw a line from this man having his war issues to a fictional character like Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk Red and Cyberpunk 2077, him deserting in his war and his war against the corporations. Bierce also leaves the war and eventually goes on to take on the corporations. And so there's this through line of art imitating life, which will then again become life imitating art later.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's history doesn't necessarily repeat; it rhymes, whatever. But
Right.
there are variables that are different. However, the results always end up kind of being similar. Like now we have this instantaneous communication with this little puck we hold in our hands. What has that done to make things better? Instead of having a broadside, fucking ad painted on a building that hundreds of people saw when they took their, walk to work in
Right.
New York City or whatever. Now you just have whatever shit is spewed to you from some algorithm on Instagram.
Yeah.
You're still getting hit with it,
Yep.
wherever you seek it, whether you're buying a newspaper, whether you're,
Absolutely. Well, and
motion picture.
and as you know, with Hearst and Pulitzer and all these guys, newspapers were not objective.
No.
Oh
my God.
You still had a filter bubble depending on what news you read.
The Dollop has this like side podcast they do that's called The Pastimes, where they read old newspapers. And what this, the patterns that start showing up over time is, Usually it was just a dude who ran this fucking newspaper, and he had a beef with like Patty Goliski, whatever, down the fucking road, whose chickens fucking make too much noise, and he writes a whole op-ed about it, and that's a story in the paper delivered as seriously as what's happening on the front.
Yep.
You know.
Well, columnists, maybe in a future episode we can talk about, are you familiar with the American Aurora? This is the newspaper that Benjamin Franklin's grandson ran during and just after the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
And it is a thing because it was as yellow and it was as opinionated as, all these things get. So this is what I mean is that we're so enamored, we think we invented all of this bad shit.
Yeah.
But it's very human. And so, but getting back to Mr. Bierce, because there's a whole lot of stuff we could branch off and do here, but getting back to Bierce.
Sure, yeah.
In San Francisco, he lands in San Francisco after the war and becomes the city's most feared journalist.
Hell yeah.
He earned the nickname the wickedest man in San Francisco. Now, I would like to know if he ever crossed paths with Emperor Joshua Norton personally, but
right.
Right. But I don't know that I have that in here. So that's a thing that's in my head. So
Emperor Norton's going to be a future episode.
Absolutely, he's the greatest. So he wrote the Prattle, quote Prattle column. So it's just called Prattle. Okay. For first the Argonaut, and then the Wasp, and then for Hearst's San Francisco Examiner. Now, William Randolph Hearst, if you don't know, he was the subject of Citizen Kane, but he's the guy that kind of, was it the Spanish-American War? He said, you give me the pictures and I'll furnish you the war.
Yeah,
he was the most powerful newspaper magnate of his time.
He was, so that Wag the dog could run. Exactly.
I mean, that very much so. So contemporaries described him as venomous, vindictive, rancorous, and malevolent. Few denied his brilliance, however. He ruffled enough feathers that he started carrying a gun to ward off angry retractors. Kind of a Spider Jerusalem thing going on here.
Yeah.
Right?
Big vibes.
Just walking around San Francisco armed because his column made that many enemies.
Man, every writer wishes that,
Now, get this. Now, just speaking of contemporaneous people, he was part of the city's literary scene alongside Mark Twain, Bret Hart, and Joaquin Miller.
Oh, Bret Hart. I love his wrestling.
No, different guy. Hart with an E, I know. His first meeting with Twain strolled into the newsletter's office, the name of the newspaper, looked around with disdain and said, "Young man, this room is so nude that I think you and the owner should be ashamed of yourselves." Bierce kept working. Twain asked where the owner was. Bierce said, "Somewhere around town. He'll be back shortly." Twain glowered at him and said, "Young man, are you sure he's not in the next room drunk?" Twain once panned one of Bierce's early books. There's humor in Dodd Grill. Apparently the book was Dodd Grill. I have not read this book. But for every laugh in this book, there are 5 blushes, 10 shudders, and a vomit. But later he recanted that, and he actually included Bierce's fables in his library of humor anthology.
Proper. Hey, that makes a little bit of sense. Like, if they stayed lifelong enemies, I think I'd be a bit chief. But, I mean, they're both big guns.
Yeah, serious. And big guns and competitors. I mean, everybody. I joke around that Ambrose Bierce is like Mark Twain, but cynical.
Seriously.
But when Twain...
They're both hilarious.
So you're going to love this. Twain published a biography of Bierce that was full of errors.
Oh, man.
Bierce annotated each claim with bracketed corrections and sent it back.
I want that book. That is it. I've never, ever wanted a book like that before. I want that book.
I thought of that, and I thought about John Scalzi published a book a while back called "Your Hate Mail Will Be Graded," and it was it was his blog posts. But I mean, it's that's the kind of vibe I get from this.
That's
Jack.
fucking beautiful. Well, okay, so
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the Daily Show years ago put out
Mm-hmm.
this book called like America the Book.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember
And
it.
then
I had it.
when it was released in paperback, they had given it to like history professors to correct. And it's worth a read just for like when they start losing their minds. And
Yep.
it's not too far into the book. It's great. Like I'd love that shit. I love that shit. That is
That's
the
great.
best. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Right? I'm willing to bet someone has that written up somewhere, but I have not researched it.
I got to get a hold of the Library of Congress on that one.
When reviewing Jack London's The Sea Wolf, it is a most disagreeable book as a whole. London has a pretty bad style and no sense of proportion.
Shit.
Yeah.
Man. I love this stuff, man. I love beefs. Anyway.
It's interesting. He had no patience for protégés who tried to inject social relevance into fiction. Art was art. Propaganda was something else. And he would drop you if you mixed them.
Interesting.
Despite all of this, he encouraged young writers like George Sterling and W.C. Morrow. He was not indiscriminately cruel. He had high standards and zero tolerance for pretension. His personal motto was, nothing matters.
Agreed.
So let's talk about the railroads. Some of this is going to sound familiar. Some of this is going to sound real familiar. When I read this to you, I want you to be thinking about the tech companies, and I want you to be thinking about the crypto bros who bought the last election. Okay?
Okay.
I want you to think about those, and as I read this to you, as I read my notes off here. So this is where Bierce goes from literary figure to activist, and where the fight the man parallels begin to really get hard to ignore. This is a guy, Collis P. Huntington, of the Central. Collis P. Huntington.
What do you take for that?
All right, there's an ointment. There's a balm. There's a balm.
There has to be.
Of the Central Pacific Railroad tried to sneak a bill through Congress for giving $130 million in government loans. Now, $130 million was a lot of money in those days. I'm sure, I don't know exactly what it would be today, but we're not talking about chump change. This is $130 million in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah, that's crazy money.
Right.
That's crazy money in 1975.
Yep. $1 million.
Like the first movie had $100 million budget and everybody lost their shit.
Yep.
And now it's just like that's
like chump change.
Yeah.
So the plan depended on secrecy. Get it through without the public notice or any hearings. Okay. Hearst caught wind of it and dispatched Bierce to Washington. Bierce wrote over 60 articles attacking the bill, exposing the bribery, and marshaling public outrage. The best moment was when Huntington confronted Bierce on the steps of the Capitol and told him to name his price. Bierce replied that his price was $130 million. And if he happened to be out of town when Huntington was ready to pay, he could hand it over to his friend, the Treasurer of the United States.
Sick.
That ran in papers nationwide. The bill was defeated. One writer with a poison pen beat the railroad monopoly. He didn't consider himself a muckraker and derided progressive journalists who followed him. But his work was the precursor to all of that. You can probably draw a line from Bierce to Upton Sinclair, all the way through, to Murrow, to, all of these guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, back when we had journalists, like we do,
But
they operate mostly independently.
Yes.
You're not going to see it on the evening news.
No.
That's
you need to seek them out, and you need to support them, people. You need to
Yes.
support them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They're getting into it. They're doing the thing that I can't do. I don't have the attention span.
No,
Do I have the technique? I wasn't a journalist trained, but
Yeah.
there are folks out there who know how to synthesize this information in a way to be like, hey, pay
I
attention.
have, when I was in college, I was privileged to work with a couple of Pulitzer Prize winning journalists at the
Fuck yeah.
Akron Beacon Journal. And I was there when the first Gulf War broke out. And let me tell you, there is nothing like being at a newspaper when a war breaks. But that is neither here nor there. Because now we come to the Devil's Dictionary.
Bring it.
So the Devil's Dictionary is a set of compiled satirical definitions of English words that he put together over decades. Some of these examples: peace in international affairs, a period of cheating between two periods of fighting. Brain, an apparatus with which we think that we think.
Here's one of my favorites. Misfortune, noun, the kind of fortune that never misses.
Love, a temporary insanity curable by marriage.
Oh man.
So it was not just comedy, but it was like a satirical firmware upgrade for language. He understood that words are tools of control, and he was trying to kind of jailbreak them. I mean, yeah, he was trying to be funny, and he was trying to be, but he's also pointing out the same kind of thing that Orwell points out in 1984 with doublespeak. Yeah.
I accidentally turned to the page for optimist, noun, a proponent of the doctrine that black is white.
Yep.
I mean, this is like culture jamming before we had a term for it.
Yeah.
You know, this is it's wordplay. It's literal wordplay
Yep.
in the best sense of the word, and it's fucking hilarious stuff. Like, but some of it's really dark, and you read it,
right?
And you're a little shook. Like, what happened to you, bud? You know,
right. Really dark, but also very real. And it's the way that you could do that. I mean, people have gone and not updated that text, but like people do their own versions of this now, and it's all over the internet. But this was named one of the 100 greatest masterpieces in American literature. So if you, it's I believe it's in the public domain now. Go up to Gutenberg. I think there's a website.
You can literally go to devilsdictionary.com, and it's a really nice interface where you pick the letter and then you can scroll the words. It's awesome. It's some of these entries aren't just definitions. He has written a piece. So it'll be like a dialogue between a couple of characters to like illustrate the point, et cetera, et cetera. It's such a fucking rich text. I love it so much. I'm glad we're talking about this.
Yeah, this is fun. This is good. So let's talk a little bit about his fiction. His fiction really falls into only two categories: war stories and ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge is his most famous. I'm going to say what it's about without spoiling the ending because it's good. But it's a Confederate sympathizer being hanged, imagines an elaborate escape seconds before his death. He basically invented the twist ending before it was a trope.
Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
It's a really tight Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah. Vonnegut called it the greatest American short story and a work of genius, and it was adapted for the Twilight Zone. We watched this black and white film version of it. It's only I think maybe 15, 20 minutes long. It might have been the episode, but they would put that on in English class, and I was like shook. I loved it. It informed my horror for the future. You know, I saw someone who compared it to the movie Brainstorm, Natalie Wood's final movie.
Okay.
Where one of the characters puts on the brain recording device and dies.
Okay.
And kind of that, what goes through a person's mind. Yeah. So that was an interesting, there's a conversation to be had there. But Chickamauga, a deaf child wanders through a field of wounded crawling soldiers, thinking that they're playing a game.
Holy shit!
Yeah. And an inhabitant of Carcosa, I thought that was a Lovecraft thing, so that's interesting. An inhabitant of Carcosa and Haisha the shepherd, they introduce It introduced the names Hastur, Carcosa, and Lake Holly.
Okay, because Carcosa gets picked up by, I
Well,
think, Legati.
Chambers. Robert W. Chambers borrowed them for the King in Yellow in
There it is.
1895.
That's it.
And through Chambers, they reached Lovecraft.
Right. Okay.
So Bierce is another one of those authors like Poe, where their work informs everything that comes after them.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I mean, Bierce's technique.
Yep.
He doesn't waste a fucking word.
No. He reminds me a bit of Elmore Leonard that way. My favorite Elmore Leonard quote is, why is he such a good writer? He said, well, you know those parts that you gloss over when you're reading? I don't write those.
Right. Leonard's a hoot.
Yep.
I think Freaky Deaky was the first one of his I read, and then I went on a tear for one summer, and you could just drink that shit, you know? Like
I got into him after seeing Justified because I wanted to see where it came from.
Oh shit! I didn't know he wrote that.
Oh, he wrote Fire in the Hole, which is the short story that introduced Raylan Givens. So,
okay.
But that's another show. So his prose is terse, ironic, and brutally efficient. There are no heroes, and there are no redemption arcs, just the machinery grinding people up. He stripped away every comforting illusion about war, death, and the systems that produce both.
Mm. You could draw a direct line from this to Tim O'Brien.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
It's if you've ever read The Things I Carried or any of his other stuff. Like
right, or even Joseph Heller with Catch-22.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, that book is so good. That book is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll shake.
Exactly. So, a bit of his personal life here. He married Mary Ellen Molly, her nickname was Molly Day, in 1871, and they had a very stormy marriage. They separated in 1888 after finding compromising letters from an admirer. The admirer was Molly's admirer, not Ambrose's admirer.
Oh, so, damn.
They didn't formally divorce until 1904, and she died the following year, and he mourned her despite everything. Both sons died before he did.
Oh, man.
In 1889, his 17-year-old son, Day, got caught in a love triangle, shot his rival, and then turned the gun on himself.
Oh, shit.
In 1901, his second son, Lee, died of pneumonia related to alcoholism at 27.
Oh, man.
That same year, his daughter Helen survived a serious bout of typhoid fever. In St. Helena, California, his two sons and wife were all buried in unmarked graves. He forbade tombstones.
What?
I'm
trying to think of the logic in that, though. And I'm like, maybe that's the way he would imagine them to actually get peace. You don't have people stomping over your, stone looking for you. Let them drift off into the nothingness.
Well, if he believes that nothing matters, he's not going to go back. Yeah. So
he'll carry them with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's more concrete to him than a spot. Oh wow.
So
that's heavy.
Anyway. He had severe asthma. He had the ongoing effects of the head wound, the death of both of his sons, suicides of close friends, and disgust with Gilded Age corruption. All of these things wore him down.
I bet.
In the later years, his writing output waned, as it does for much of us. Mm-hmm. And he became more of a recluse, as it does for much of us. Yeah.
Tracks.
He broke bitterly with Hearst in 1908. Sorry, just a second. And he edited 12 volumes of his collected works, and then he made his plans to leave.
Okay, all right, fair.
In October 1913, at the age of 71, he left Washington, D.C., to tour his old Civil War battlefields one last time.
Okay.
But he kept going south. He decided to go to Mexico, and when he was asked why, he said, "I like fighting."
Okay.
His daughter commented that her father was an avid student of war and loved studying it. which is interesting.
Yeah.
He crossed the border at El Paso into Juarez. He actually encountered Pancho Villa, who issued him credentials to travel with the army.
Holy shit. Okay.
Despite frequent asthma attacks, he rode alongside the soldiers on horseback. In a letter to his cousin Laura, he says, "Goodbye. If you hear of my being stood up against a Mexican stone wall and shot to rags, please know that I think that is a pretty good way to depart this life. It beats old age, disease, or falling down the cellar stairs. To be a gringo in Mexico, that is euthanasia."
Jesus Christ. All right. Yeah. That's like me being like, "Dearest T, I'm going to Ibiza.
Right.
I'm going to take heroic doses of LSD and see what happens." What? No, that's insane.
His final letter was December 26, 1913, from Chihuahua to his friend Blanche Paddington. He closed it with, "As to me, I leave here tomorrow for an unknown destination." Then no one heard from him again. According to witnesses, Bierce died over and over again all over Mexico. There is a cenotaph to him in a dusty mining town called Sierra Mojada, but the body is not under it. That's why it's a cenotaph.
Man, that's how I want to go. Mysteriously.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right?
fucking so epic. I mean, I know he disappeared. Right? They talked about like, oh, the Spanish-Mexican War or whatever. Like there was some sort of like civil war. Something was happening and he just went off to fight. I was unaware of A, that he was 71, and B, that he was like, "Nah, dude, I'm going on holiday. Like I'm riding out into the sunset epically. See ya." You know, I didn't know about that part.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's fucking crazy.
One account describes a white-haired gringo facing a firing squad with indifference, even contempt. So that is, again, we can't guarantee that that's the correct account, but that's one of the things. But H.L. Mencken's epitaph, death to him was not something repulsive, but sort of a low comedy, the last act of a squalid and rib-rocking buffoonery.
God, I don't know what that says about me that resonates with me so much.
I think, so a little bit about how his contemporaries saw him and dealt with him.
Okay.
At a Whitefriars Club dinner in London in 1873, Bierce got top billing over Mark Twain, and Twain was visibly annoyed by this. Mencken called him the one genuine wit these states have ever seen. Mencken also referred to him as the first writer of fiction ever to treat war realistically. This was before Crane and before Hemingway.
Yeah.
So this is before the Red Badge of Courage and all of that.
Yeah.
S.T. Is it Joshi, the foremost scholar of weird fiction? I think he was a Lovecraft scholar amongst many other things. I'm familiar with his name. I've not read his work. He speculates that Bierce may be the greatest satirist that America ever produced, and places him alongside Juvenal, Swift, and Voltaire.
I mean, I always hesitate to put greatest on anything, but definitely like worth a look.
Yeah,
definitely. This is someone I would absolutely recommend anytime. There's a lot to be gained from reading his stuff. It's like you said, it's very terse. It's very short, but it's full of movement. It never stops, and it's easy to understand, but it doesn't mean it's simple at all.
No.
He takes you to some fucked up places, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think a lot of modern horror would do well to learn from him.
Agreed. His biographer, Richard O'Connor, said, "War was the making of Bierce as a man and as a writer. He truly became capable of transferring the bloody, headless bodies and boar-eaten corpses of the battlefield onto paper. He has been fictionalized in over 50 novels, stories, films, TV shows, plays, and comics by writers including Ray Bradbury, Robert Heinlein, and Carlos Fuentes."
Believe it, yeah.
How he influenced later writers. Stephen Crane and Ernest Hemingway are the most obvious. Terse, unsentimental war prose cut the path for those that followed. Red Badge of Courage obviously owes a clear debt. Hemingway, same thing. Robert Chambers, we talked about. He borrowed Hastur, Carcosa, and Lake Holly for The King in Yellow. And that is the bridge to Lovecraft. Lovecraft, through Chambers, the Cthulhu mythos, all of that. Not that Bierce created the Cthulhu mythos, but there's a through line there.
Mm-hmm.
Kafka and Borges. Scholars say that Bierce would have been at home in non-realist, psychological, post-Freudian 20th century fiction. He wrote that kind of story decades before anybody had a name for it.
That is insane because Borges is so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for the same reasons. For literally the same reasons. Yeah.
Kathy Davidson's critical study of Bierce traces Bierce's influence on Borges and Julio Cortázar. The Latin American magical realists recognized him as a kindred spirit. Carlos Fuentes wrote The Old Gringo as a fictionalized account of Bierce's disappearance. He said, what started this novel was my admiration for Ambrose Bierce. It became a film with Gregory Peck.
Huh. Okay.
Gregory Peck is Bierce. I got to go see that now. I've never seen the Gringo.
I would like to see that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that was a thing. Shit.
Kurt Vonnegut obviously was influenced. Slaughterhouse-Five, Heroes of War, Dresden, all of that. Called him the greatest American short story writer. One war writer recognizing another, you know.
And Vonnegut's no slouch.
No. But the journalism lineage is interesting because historians trace a direct line from Bierce through Mencken to Jack Anderson, Molly Ivins, and Jon Stewart.
Oh, you skipped one. Oh, God. Oh, he's so important to me, too. He's from Chicago.
Mike Royko.
Royko.
Yep. I used to read Royko. Yep.
Royko's Jesus, what a titan. That guy could write this. I mean, he was the only thing I read in the fucking paper for years. He was just funny and honest.
Oh, he was he was. But exactly. Norman Sims, a journalist historian, said he was just so weird. He was out of step with his times, and that allowed him to write about different things in different ways. He wasn't Hunter S. Thompson, but they're both outside the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make some notes as to why I felt like this was important, not only now, but kind of in our cyberpunk lens, because I see, like I said, he wasn't cyber, but he's definitely a punk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are structures there. There's like patterns there that you can pull and be like, no, we've seen this.
But as I go through this, you'll begin to see how there's a through line from Bierce to Philip K. Dick.
Oh, okay.
So Bierce saw firsthand how institutions, the military, the railroad, the press, used and discarded people. Mm-hmm. That's the core cyberpunk insight, that the system doesn't care about you.
Right.
His writing style is proto-punk in tone. It's compressed, it's cynical, with no wasted sentiment. The Devil's Dictionary is a satirical firmware update to the language, pretty much. Yeah. He understood that words are tools of control.
I mean, and that you can draw a line straight to fucking William S. Burroughs.
Yeah, exactly. His war writing prefigures the used future aesthetic. Nothing is clean. Nothing works the way that it should. The people in charge are either incompetent or malicious, or both. He understood that the most dangerous technology of his era wasn't guns, but media.
Yeah.
Hearst's newspapers were the first corpo-controlled net of the 1890s.
Yeah.
The railroad fight. It was a corpo trying to buy legislation in secret, that one media jumped on. So to close it out, Bierce was out of step with his own era, but perfectly in step with ours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth going back. His short stories are great, don't get me wrong, but also read some of his columns. If you
Yeah.
can, find some of his newspaper articles about the railroad stuff because
Oh
it is
yeah.
amazing. His contemporaries found him to be too dark and too cynical and too obsessed with systems of power grinding up individuals. But the 20th century caught up with him, and the 21st century is very much a reflection of his world. Um, he's basically, he was, in my mind, both a man of his times and ahead of his time in a way that I think that we can find some inspiration from. I'm not saying that any of us is going to run out and become the next Ambrose Bierce, but I think we can take comfort in people have been here before, and we will probably be here again. But there are ways through it, and that people can make a difference.
Yeah.
Now, he would have told me that I was full of shit.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
But he was also privately a humanist, and what he wanted to do was horrify you. He wanted to keep you away from the things that fucked him up. I mean, if anything, his stuff is benevolent.
Yeah.
As bitter as it sounds, it isn't. It's trying to. It's a roast.
So for fun, I also, because I am a Cyberpunk 2077 fan, I wanted to draw the parallels between Ambrose Bierce and Johnny Silverhand
All right.
for the fun of it. All right. So I'm not saying that Bierce is a Cyberpunk character, but he's a fight the man writer in an era when the man was railroad barons and newspaper moguls. But the overlap with Johnny Silverhand is specific and worth talking about. They both served in wars they came to see as pointless slaughter run by powerful interests. Both men were psychologically damaged by combat. Both turned to art as the weapon against the machine. Bierce to fiction and journalism, Silverhand to music. Both were defined by rage at systemic corruption. Both had complicated, damaged personal relationships that they never fully resolved. Both disappeared into legend.
Mm-hmm.
Bierce into Mexico, Silverhand into Arasaka Tower. In both cases, their disappearance became part of the myth. Their absence is the final statement.
I like it. All right, I'll accept it. I mean, that's what we can do.
Yep.
I feel like I'm glad we're talking about this simply because I don't really hear people talking about Bierce enough. Like, it's one of them books, too, where I will pick up the Devil's Dictionary every few years and I'll just kind of carry it around a little bit. Like, I took it to work today and I was just thumbing through it, I think I described to you guys, like, I've used this book the way some people throw, like, tarot cards or, like, an Nietzsche or something. I just bibliomancy. I just open to a page, read it, get a chuckle. And you can't lose. Like, here, I'll do it right now, all right? I'm just going to flip through it, and then right here, verb, to have and to hold a debt. The word formerly signified not indebtedness, but possession. It meant own. And in the minds of debtors, there is still a good deal of confusion between assets and liabilities. I mean, it's just all of it. It's evergreen.
It is. It's beautiful. And in this age where, let's face it, reading at length is, even short stories, is on a downward spiral.
Yeah.
I think it's worth reminding everybody that we've got this rich history and these people who have seen it. And, I think about this in the same way I think about, have you ever read Harlan Ellison's From Alabama with Hate?
Probably. Was it in one of the first 4 volumes of the...
It may have been. It's his recollection of the march in Selma with King. And
I'm almost certain I've read it. I don't remember it. It's been a while.
But it's worth a reread right now. I read it when Trump was elected just for shits and giggles. Yeah. But I think this kind of writing feeds the soul. In an era where the internet can be fairly soulless. I'm not saying it's not good for connecting with people and all of that.
Yeah.
But the writing on it, as it degenerates into AI slop, we do our best here with our fiction. Hey, we publish fiction, guys. Go and read the fiction.
Yeah.
But going back and reading some of the classics and realizing why they're classics and what they have to say to us now, I think is definitely worth it.
Yeah. I recently, when all this stuff was hitting, like, there was, amongst friends and people I knew, we would talk about Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States of
Yep.
America. Uh, that's a really nice book to have on the shelf. It looks like a brick. It's very easy to read. But the book I would
Hmm.
recommend is his. Oh God, I don't even know. Like, you can find it probably online, and there is a audiobook version of it. But Artists in Times of War.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, those lectures he gave are fantastic for this kind of stuff. Just talking
Yep.
about like who is going to do the thing. Is it this guy or this guy? He describes the chain of command from,
Hmm.
the CEO down on to the PR guy.
Hmm.
Eh, I don't know. I think I like Bierce because there's no marketing
Yep.
with him.
Yep.
There's no marketing writing with him. He's either a journalist making a pointed statement, or he's blowing your mind with a short story, or he's making you laugh your, taint off with some awesome sideways definition of a common word.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's not vapid. It's got a
no,
message. It's
yeah,
got there's something going on there, and it'll engage your mind. It does the best work of fiction, which is you keep thinking about it after you put it down.
hmm yeah. It's
Um,
not edgelord shit.
no,
Yeah, this
no,
is
it's not.
this
And
was
and
torture for one line.
exactly, exactly. So that is everything I have. It's kind of a short episode for us, but
Yeah, but that's fine. We don't want to
yeah,
belabor the point. We want to send you off into the ether to
yeah.
read. Guillotine.
So
Noun: a
that,
machine which makes a Frenchman shrug his shoulders with good reason. Come on, man.
yep.
These are so fucking good. They're so
So
good.
the one thing I will ask of our listeners is if you liked this episode, let us know. We may do more of these.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Share your favorite definition in a comment somewhere.
oh, absolutely. That'd be great.
Oh
But
man, I
that's
love that
uh,
shit.
that's everything I've got on Ambrose Bierce.
Thank you, man. That was fucking great.
Yeah.
It's nice to fill in that weird gap I had. It, I don't know.
No, I like doing this stuff. We'll do more of these in the future. Heck, maybe Vonnegut would be a good one to go to next.
I'd love Vonnegut. Yeah, I know a lot about that guy too.
Yeah.
I spent a summer reading all of his books,
Oh, geez.
all of them in a row.
You know, true
And
true story. I have never read anything but Cat's Cradle, so I want to read more.
wait, is that
And
the one with
I'm
Ice
going to-
Nine?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Player Piano is really interesting because it's not like any of his other books. It's kind of
Hmm.
more like 1984 or Brave New World or something like that. It's a little more straightforward, a little bit wordier, and then
Mhm.
everything after that's just tight smacks, beats you up. Like his short stories, his letters. Oh my god, the letters he
Mhm.
wrote to people. Like, yeah, we're gonna keep doing this. This will
Yeah,
be fun.
this is good. All right, that's all I've got. So why don't we let these people go?
Yeah, get out of here. Go check out neondystopia.com. Go to our Patreon. Kick us a buck if you can. I know gas is like $4,000 million a gallon now. Hey, it's fine. We get it. But the stories are up there and you can still read them because there's no paywall. Yeah, buckle up. Get some rest.
Invisible change, visible progress. Sacrifice comfort, gain control. Work is worship, rest is rebellion. Obedience over innovation. Sacrifice self, serve faith. Suffer in silence, prosper in unity. The greater the exploitation, the greater the reward. Your data, our safety. More report, more peace.